we'll move on to the committee of the whole meeting when the clerk is ready.
Okay, I will call to order the committee of the whole for January 3rd. Will the clerk please call the roll for attendance?
Ms. Wu,
Here.
Mr. Evans,
Here.
Ms. Hersey,
Here.
Ms. Colasetti,
Here.
Ms. Bishop, Ms. Bishop,
Here.
okay, Ms. Wilkin,
Here.
Mr. Quisenberry,
Here.
Mayor Marlin.
Here.
Okay, thank you. Next up is the approval of the minutes for December 20th, 2021. Does anybody have any corrections or changes? Okay, seeing none, does anybody want to make a motion to pass the minutes?
I'll move that we pass the December 20th, 2021 minutes.
A second.
Okay, thank you, Mary Alice and Chandra. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Wu,
Yes.
Ms. Hersey,
Yes.
Ms. Colasetti,
Yes.
Mr. Evans,
Yes.
Mr. Quisenberry,
Yes.
Ms. Bishop,
Yes.
Ms. Wilkin.
Okay, that passes. Are there any additions to the agenda? All right, seeing none, that takes us to public input. Does anybody want to give us some public input? Okay, I'm not seeing anybody.
Chris, there's two people.
There's two.
Oh, is there? Okay,
I
I'm sorry.
think Alan Max Axelrod had perhaps their hand up first.
Okay, Alan, go ahead.
Hi there. So in response to David Wesner's poorly written memo, I'm just going to replay my public comment from December 20th or December 19th because he obviously didn't understand that I was differentiating between two different sections of the act, and he referenced the section that I debunked, or I at least said wasn't relevant.
All right, so the last time that I spoke to this city council, I read section 10 of the Stephen Edwards Act. You'll note that it doesn't mention the word dispatch. I find the pussyfooting around that to be, well, I'll read you what a disabled legislative expert had to say when I get there. Section 10, applicability home rule. This act applies to every unit of local government that provides or coordinates ambulance or similar emergency medical response or transportation services for individuals with emergency medical needs. A home rule unit may not respond to or provide services for a mental or behavioral health emergency or create a transportation plan or other regulation relating to the provision of mental or behavioral health services in a manner inconsistent with this act. This act was pushed after Stephen Edward Watts was killed by police. The intent of this is to have no involvement of police for a subset of criteria of behavioral health calls. You'll note that the broad language here does not use the word dispatch. It's like you looked at section 30 of this and saw that the prohibitions had to do with dispatch. And so you thought that if you could just get around the word dispatch, that it somehow allows you to do this. It does not. 12 days of Christmas.
So I've paused my public comment from there because, as you'll note, David Wesner heard that public comment where I said that I wasn't referring to section 30, and that his memo to you only addressed section 30. I'm not asking for much here. I'm asking that you follow the law and do your homework. Have a good night.
Go ahead, Sarah. You're muted. Oh, there you are.
I'm not gonna have a hearing after here on Wednesday, because it was fire that day, and we'll do fire. So otherwise, we'll do it. So there's people who wanna pick.
Sarah, you're cutting in and out.
There are others in the background.
Actually, this will be Wednesday and Friday.
Hey, Chris, you might alert the people in your house that their conversation.
Okay, I will. Yeah. Okay, is Sarah available? Oh, okay, Sarah, you're good to go. Okay, I can't hear her. Can anybody hear her? Okay, we're still not hearing you, Sarah.
She has the option of sending comments in by email if there's
Yeah.
an audio problem.
Yeah, since we can't hear you, you are welcome to send an email, Sarah. We're not hearing you right now. Does anybody else want to give public comment? Oh, there you are. Yeah. We're still not hearing you, Sarah. Okay, we still can't hear you. Does anybody else want to give public comment? Okay, I'm not seeing any other raised hands, and we're just simply not getting any sound out of Sarah. So I suggest we move on from public comment. Okay, thank you. Okay, next up is any staff reports? Okay, not seeing any then. Next up is moving to closed session for collective bargaining issues pursuant to 5 ILCS 120-/2 C2. Do we need a vote to go to closed session? We do. Okay.
Yes, you need a motion to go into closed session.
Okay. Does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll
I'll
move.
move to go into closed session for collective bargaining issues pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2 C2.
I'll second.
All right. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Wu,
Yes.
Mr. Evans,
Yes.
Ms. Hersey. Ms. Hersey.
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Colacetti,
Yes.
Ms. Bishop,
Yes.
Ms. Wilkin. Ms. Wilkin,
Yes.
okay. Mr. Quisenberry,
Yes.
Mayor Marlin.
Yes.
Okay, I'm assuming there's a email on our accounts to go into that session. Okay, so we'll adjourn this for now and we'll go to closed session.
Well, you won't adjourn. You'll just close out of this Zoom session.
Yeah, I'm
And
sorry.
then
Yeah.
open a separate Zoom session. Yes.
Right, okay, yep. Okay, it looks like everybody's back. We are now in open session at the Committee of the Whole. Do we need to take a roll call again, clerk?
Yes, please.
Okay,
I think we need a motion, Chris.
okay,
Yes,
all right, a motion to be in open session.
I'll move that we go back into open session.
A second.
Okay, motion by Mary Alice, seconded by Chandra. Will clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Wu,
Yes.
Mr. Evans,
Yes.
Ms. Hersey,
Yes.
Mr. Quisenberry,
Yes.
Ms. Wilkin,
Yes.
Ms. Bishop,
Yes.
Ms. Colacetti,
Yes.
Mayor Marlin.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we are back in open session. Our next item is resolution number 2022-01-001R, a resolution approving a collective bargaining agreement with the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, known as the AFL-CIO, Council 31, Local 1331. And is finance giving a further discussion on this? Or do we need a motion to send this to the next city council meeting?
Yes, just a motion to send to the council.
It seems like it would be appropriate to have some presentation on this for the public.
I
I
don't see.
can do it. I can do it imperfectly if the folks from finance didn't come back in out of closed session. So if you'd like me to make a little intro, I'd be happy to.
Go ahead, Carol.
Excuse me, Elizabeth said they haven't been admitted to the meeting, but they are.
Oh,
Okay.
all right.
Great.
Okay, so we'll wait.
Yeah, if Barima could let Elizabeth Hannon and
Michelle.
Michelle. Here we go.
And possibly.
Okay, it looks like they're both here. Elizabeth, do you want to start?
I think Michelle will do that. I just wanted to make sure that she got in the room.
I am. You all hear me?
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
Okay. All right. Hopefully everybody was able to access online the memo I wrote that's kind of just gave an overview of the whole negotiation process with AFSCME, who are the union representing American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees. They are largely comprised of our public works employees, our police services representatives, and our parking enforcement officers. And I think the memo details that between August and December 10th of this year, we met with AFSCME. They have a team. We went with a team. We met in closed negotiation sessions. So I'm not allowed to detail everything that was back and forth in those sessions, but I am allowed to share, and I have shared in this memo, an overview of all the terms of this contract that are different from the prior contract. Online, you should have been able to access the old contract, but what we also did was we put up a red line version of the new contract that's proposed that we're asking council to move forward and ultimately approve, and then a clean copy. And again, with apologies to everyone, it was hard to reformat this document. It's a very old one. It was very resistant to kind of being edited. So we're going to try to get, if there's any final kind of formatting and cleanup issues, taken care of before we hand you the final version to sign. But ultimately, the really substantive terms of this are economic and what we call operational in nature. So kind of how we run things that don't directly have financial costs to the city, but they matter for day-to-day operations. And then we also had primarily economic issues too. And those have to do with the wage increases. Now, this contract expired on June 30th of this year. It's not uncommon for negotiations to go beyond the date that the prior contract has expired. What we did in this situation, which is common and what the city has always done, is we will be applying the wage increase for the fiscal year that would have started on July 1st of this year retroactively. So the employees will get a check for the retroactive wages had the wage increase taken place on July 1st. That wage increase for this first year was a 2% wage increase. The wage increase that they will get effective July 1st of 2022 will be a 2.25% wage increase. And then in the third year of this contract, they'll get a wage increase on July 1st of 2023 of 2.75%. Uniform allowances were adjusted. It's not uncommon because costs of things, can increase for uniform allowances to be adjusted. So there was a 3% increase in uniform allowances. There's a one-time increase for the 2022-23 year of 3%, and then one more 3% increase for the 23-24 year. Costs of uniforms can actually be expensive in a way that you might not think of for public works. Especially public works have to wear very heavy Carhartt materials. They have to wear hard-toed shoes. They have to have reflective gear. So those things can get very costly, and especially with public works, those uniforms wear out. So these are very real costs that we have to make sure that we take into consideration. The parking enforcement officers, they are getting an increase to their base wage. So they will get a base wage increase, and then they will also get the additional yearly wage increases. And this was to try to bring them up, realizing that they were the lowest paid employees in the city. They, comparatively speaking, were not making a lot less than the comparators of other municipalities around here. But we wanted to recognize that it is just a situation where these lower paid employees will continue to fall further behind if we didn't do something to increase their base wage. So standby pay is something that's really important, and we really wanted to take very seriously because we need people to plow snow. We need people to be willing to respond to emergencies, and we have to make it something that is somewhat appealing to them, because when we have people on standby, they have to alter their lives. They have to stay close by. They have to maintain a situation for a week where they can report to work on a moment's notice. So it is something that even if they don't get called in, they will have spent that time on standby, kind of accommodating their lives around that standby responsibility. After our call out for snow shifts and other emergency shifts, there's a rate increase for that extra hours of work. Police services representatives are going to get a little bit of training pay additional just for those hours that they're training, not for every hour that they work in a day where they might have training responsibilities, but when they're actively training, they'll have an increase. This is consistent with what we do with police officers who are responsible for training new police recruits. And it also takes into consideration the fact that when you're training somebody, your own workload does not go down. You're still responsible for completing your own workload. Police service representatives are required, they are necessary, and they're required to come in at times when other employees may be able to be sent home. We need them to come in severe weather. We need them to remain through emergencies where we might be sending other employees home. So there is a weather-related or other emergency short-term provision that would give them a 1.5% of their regular rate of pay, or 1.5 times their regular rate of pay for hours worked during that closure. Christmas Eve is established as a holiday for AFSCME employees. The crew leader positions, I won't spend a lot of time on that. Hopefully I explained it relatively well in here, but it's something that we think is going to be really good for the city. And it's something that is, I think, is something that the public works employees who have not had a lot of positions or opportunities for advancement are also really excited about. We also adjusted the longevity schedule so that the people in the last two tiers of longevity bumps, our 20-year employees and our 25-year employees, get 2% more for those longevity milestones than they did previously. This is important for several reasons. It's just, first of all, a recognition of the dedication and loyalty that we've had for employees that have been with us that long. It's also something we need to consider for retention. It's really important to us that we retain these employees who have become so knowledgeable and so experienced and so critical to our operations. And so we want to make sure that we give them some incentive to do that. I will let Elizabeth speak to any questions that might be had about overall like costing and financial impact. But we think that this is a good contract for AFSCME, and we really believe that AFSCME also believes that this is a good contract for them. And this makes this, I think, good for the city overall. And I would ask that the committee move it forward with a recommendation for passing.
Elizabeth, did you want to make any comments?
I don't need to add anything. If you have questions, I'll be happy to jump in and try to answer.
Okay, any more questions? Okay, I'm not seeing any. Okay, so I guess, do we have a motion for, okay, wait, Chandra?
Yeah, I was gonna make the motion to move on to City Council Resolution number 2022-01-001R, a resolution approving a collective bargaining agreement with the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFL-CIO, Council 31, Local 1331.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Mary Alice. Discussion, no more discussion. Go ahead, Grace.
Thanks. And just repeat here in closed session since it's, or what I said in closed session since it's not sensitive for the public, just that I am glad that we were able to get this agreement on both sides. Sounds like it's a compromise on both ends that they find agreeable. And thank you to Michelle Brooks and the rest of the negotiating team and AFSCME city employees for all of their hard work and even speaking at some of our meetings. And that I really appreciate the gender neutral language in this contract, some of the creative staffing solutions and the communication that we've had with City Council and with the public as much as possible. So I plan on supporting this and appreciate the work that's gone into this contract and hope that it's something that both sides find doable and satisfying on both ends.
Anybody else? Go ahead, James.
Yeah, just may have missed this. Is this for with recommendation for approval and for the consent agenda?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
I didn't remember hearing that this was the consent agenda, but as the second, I'm happy to amend if the primary, if Chandra wants to add it to that.
It's the only item on the agenda.
Yeah, I didn't add it to the consent agenda because it was the only item.
We all in agreement with that? Okay. Okay, with nothing else, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Quisenberry,
Yes.
Ms. Wilkin, Ms. Bishop,
Yes.
Ms. Colasetti,
Yes.
Ms. Hersey,
Yes.
Ms. Wu,
Yes.
Mr. Evans.
Yes. Okay, that motion passes. We now go to council input or communications. Does anybody want to say anything? Go ahead, Sharice.
Yeah, I apologize for, I wanted to read this earlier and hold on because I just lost my, this is difficult for me because I know the family. On Wednesday, December 29th, 2021, at 8:03 p.m., Urbana police officers were dispatched to the 1600 block of Hunter Street on the report of shots fired. Officers arrived and located one victim on the ground with an apparent gunshot wound to the head. The victim was identified as 17-year-old Jordan Atwater Lewis, a resident of Urbana. Atwater Lewis was transported to Carl Hospital, where he was pronounced deceased. Preliminary investigation into the incident appears to indicate that Atwater Lewis was approached by multiple people on the street in the 1600 block of East Hunter Street just before the shooting occurred. An autopsy is pending. Illinois State Police crime scene investigators are assisting Urbana police detectives with this investigation. The investigation of this incident is ongoing. Anyone with further information, photographs, or video recordings is encouraged to call the Urbana Police Department at 217-384-2320. Detectives will arrange to meet with witnesses privately. Callers may remain anonymous by calling Crime Stoppers at 217-373-TIPS. Submit a tip on the Champaign County Crime Stoppers website, that's champaigncountycrimestoppers.com, or submit a tip on the free P3 Tips app, which, if available is available on iTunes and Google Play app stores. I wish to give my condolences to my friend Joyce Lewis. This was her grandson and her family. Thank you.
Okay, does anyone else have any comments tonight? Okay, I'm not seeing anyone. And if no other council members want to make any comments, that would mean our meeting is adjourned.